This podcast is a celebration of women who are shaping culture, influencing the world, and boldly stepping into the entertainment industry to create God-honoring content across all media platforms. I'm your host, Shari Rigby. Grab your coffee, settle in, and join me for an inspiring ride. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Women in My World. Today, one of my guests, one of my favorite women in my world, she has been walking boldly in her calling for years, using her gifts not just in entertainment, but to impact lives. Sharonne Lanier is a seasoned actress with an extensive body of work across film, television, and stage, with credits and projects like The Forge, Vindication, Unsung Hero, and a wide range of faith and family films that have reached audiences around the world. But her journey started in a simple classroom when a fourth grade assignment to perform Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech revealed a gift she didn't even know she had. From that moment on, a passion was ignited that would shape the course of her life. Sharonne faced moments of doubt, but it was her mother's words that anchored her. I believe God gives you dreams and visions for a reason. Don't run from it. And she hasn't looked back since. With a heart rooted in faith and a mission to point people towards God's love, she continues to pursue roles that bring hope, truth, and transformation, both on screen and beyond. Please welcome my dear friend, Sharonne Lanier.
Hello, Shari. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful introduction. Oh, I'm blushing.
It is so good to have you with me and the audience today. And all of those things, this is like the truth about who you are, what you do, and how you inspire others just to walk in their faith. And I love that about you. Even as we were getting on, we were talking and it like instantaneously just goes into talking about the Lord, how he uses our testimony. So thank you, my dear friend, for being with me today. And I am so excited about this interview.
Oh, thank you for having me. And hello to whoever is listening.
I want to dive in because we have so much to talk about. I'm fascinated about this fourth grade moment for you. Take us on the journey and the moment when you discovered that you loved performing.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like every one of us has one of those teachers at some point in our lifetime where they just push us beyond what we think we can do. And so we had an oratorical contest in my elementary school, and it was completely voluntary. But my fourth grade teacher said, no, for this class, this is not voluntary. Every one of you're going to learn this speech, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. You're going to perform it in front of the class. And then if you choose to go on to the contest, then you can. So I had never done anything like it. Like I never memorized anything. I've never spoken in front of people. So this was all brand new, scary. But like as I dug in, I actually enjoyed it. And I remember finding video, and I don't know how I found videos back then, right? Because that was like, we didn't have internet back then like we do now. But I remember watching some clips of like how he said it, or maybe I listened to it, I don't know. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to try to mimic how he said it. And then like just memorizing everything. Like I actually had fun memorizing the speech. So we go on to do it in front of the class. And then I went on to do the actual competition. And I won first place, right? But it wasn't so much that I won it. It was that there were older people in the audience who lived in that era, the civil rights era. And to see the looks on their faces just really did something to me. It wasn't a look of like, oh, that was so wonderful. It was more of a look of, I'm experiencing something right now because of what you said. I could just see that they were just in the moment. And so it just let me know that my words had power. So that was the seed. And I'm actually still in contact with that teacher to this day because I'm like, if you didn't, I'm sure, God has a will and a purpose for us. So if we yield to him, eventually we'll walk in it. But still, it's scary to think about if you didn't push me then, like when would that seed have been planted? And I have no idea. But anyway, that's how it all started.
Wow. I love that. I love that. I think about the teachers that have impacted my life. And I think about so many of them. It's the reminder of we can either speak life or death over somebody. And how do we do that and do it in a way that elevates them and pulls them up into the next place? Because I do believe that God has placed different people in the seasons of our life, specifically in our youth, to speak into our life and to encourage us into what he has in store for us. And
man, I can even think back to my moment, and when there was a moment that happened and the Lord was like, "This is what I'm showing you."
Yeah. And, it makes me think about, because I say this often too, that I think a lot of times, like our yes, our being obedient allows somebody else to be obedient. It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Because, obviously we can't see all, but right, God has the ultimate plan. And so if he's like, let's just take something small, like, okay, film, right? We're in film. And he's like,
Right.
Sherry, I want you to make that film. But he also wanted this
Mhm.
specific DP to be on that film. He wanted this specific gaffer, this specific grip, these specific actresses. But if you would have said no, then they couldn't walk in what he wanted them to walk in. And I'm like, man, that just is so incredible to me.
Right? It's a ripple effect. It's a complete ripple effect. I have to say I'm in my Devo this morning, and I'm in the book of Esther right now. And I love the book of Esther, and I was reading about Mordecai, and it was when Haman ends up, going before the king and saying, he's getting ready to ask basically for Mordecai's death. And the king, before this even happens, though, the night before that, the king is up and he is wrestling with sleeping, right? And so all of a sudden, the next thing you know, Haman's plan for what he was going to do with evil and that evil intent, he goes to the king. Well, the king's been up. The chronicles have been brought to the king the night before, that specific chronicle,
Right.
right? And it's read. And then when Haman comes in, the king is asking him all these questions. And the next thing you know, the response is that here Haman has to do what he was not intending to do at all with Mordecai. And I'm thinking to myself, the ripple effect when we hear God, when people hear God, when he moves on their heart, it can either be a yes or it can be a no.
Mm.
And what would the devastation be in that moment? And that kept resonating with me this morning. And so when you just said that, I thought about how many people have you and I been on sets with over the years that if we would have said no, what would that have looked like?
Wow. And it's even more sobering to think about the times that we didn't walk in obedience. Like, what
Yeah.
did we not fulfill or do that we were supposed to do?
Right? I know. We can go super deep right now, which I love is what's so great. So tell us a little bit about as you ventured on from the fourth grade and up, you have definitely had an incredible journey. Was there a moment as you continued on that really you felt like God was saying to you, you have been called to be a creative, number one. And number two, what does this journey look like for you going from the first project to where you are today?
That is so loaded. I will try not to be long winded.
It's okay, sister, if you are, because it's going to be good.
Well, I think I first realized while I was in college, I was having difficulty getting cast. So let me back up a little bit. So
Yeah.
even though I knew that I wanted to do something, with regards to acting, I really didn't do much in elementary beyond like doing speeches. I actually went on to do that speech for churches and everything. But beyond that, I really didn't do much. I did a couple of church plays, but my middle school, the drama program fell apart right when I stepped in. So that was 3 years of, okay, you can't do that. Then in high school, I ended up going to a dual enrollment. And back then you actually attended the classes on the college campus. So I wasn't a part of my high school drama program. So college. Okay. Well, in college, because I wasn't as trained as the other students coming in, I wasn't
Mhm.
getting cast. And so all of that was frustrating. And I remember one of my professors, he gave us an assignment and he said, I want everybody when you come back to the next class, I want you to tell me exactly why you're in this industry. And so that got me to really thinking. And my reason was literally back then, I will not say that I have always done this. I do it now. But back then, my heart was really to glorify Christ. I accepted Christ at a young age. And so he's always been at the forefront of my aspirations. But I really laid it down on the altar to be like, God, I'm in this for you. Use me for your glory. To circle back to why I even talked about being frustrated because I wasn't getting cast. I was like, God, I'm doing this for you. And I'm in college. I'm not even out there yet. And I can't get cast. Just take away the desire. I can study
Yeah.
something else. But he was clearly like, no. And I don't know if I heard like a clear no. It was more so like there was something in my spirit that was like, nope, you got to keep on this track. You can't do anything else. I was like, maybe I could do like political science. One of my family members was like, you be a good lawyer because I ask a lot of questions. But I didn't have peace with it. And I minored in it, but I didn't have peace. So that was like college was like a defining moment for me to be like, yeah, this is what you're going to do.
I didn't pursue this industry. I always kind of laugh about it, where my only kind of entry point at an early age was played Mary in a kindergarten play. And really that was it. And from that point on, I thought it was really special, but it wasn't something that I was pursuing. So I think it's fascinating to hear how God has not only called you in, but then sometimes he's taken you through quite the desert to get to where he's going to place you for what he's about to do. So I would love to hear a little bit more about the journey in your story.
Yeah, there were two things that kind of like allowed me to have a strong starting point. One was I actually was cast in my first professional stage play while I was still in college. I sang in the gospel choir, and there was a gospel touring play that came to Orlando, and the director came to one of my rehearsals, and he was like, hey, I'd like this choir to open up while we're in town. And so I went up to him afterwards, and I was like, oh, I'm a theater major, so if you need anything, and he was like, okay, I'll let you know. Well, oddly enough, one of his supporting actors, so it wasn't just like some baby background whatever, like a supporting actor like dropped out, and he called and he was like, can you come downtown and audition for me? And so I ended up auditioning and got the role, and I actually toured with them while I was still in school for a couple of cities. But that was a defining moment because there was one friend that we're still friends today. She's a famous comedian. Her name was Chocolate back then, but now she goes under her real name, Shanita Morris. But anyway, she was like a new Christian, but she was the most, I can't say she was the most, right? But from my perspective, she was the person who illustrated what it looked like to really follow Christ the most while you're in this industry. Like she was just set apart. And I was like, that's what I want to do. So my second thing was we had to do an internship in order to graduate. It only had to be 3 months, but I ended up connecting with a theater company in Houston called the 80 Players. Many people don't know who the 80 Players are, but they're a Christian theater company, and it was founded by Jeanette Clift George. She played Corrie Ten Boom in The Hiding Place. And she was also a very well-known speaker, had radio podcasts and all that, all the jazz, right? And so she led this company, and we were like company members every weekday. Was it every day? It might have been every other day. I can't remember. Definitely weekly. We would have these Bible studies that she would lead, and she just imparted so much wisdom into us. And so that taught me too what it looked like to put Christ at the forefront of your dreams and aspirations. So those are very clear defining moments. So I had a nice, good start. I ended up staying with the 80 Players for 2 years, even though after 3 months I had graduated, right? Because my internship was complete, but I stayed on for a full 2 years. The only reason I moved back to Florida, which is where I'm from, is because my fiance at the time was there, and he was like, can we just get married? I mean, he didn't say it like that, but he was like, when you coming back? You know? And so I moved back to get married to Isaac. We are still married today. Yay! This year's 22 years. He's always been, and cut me off, Shari, if you want to.
But he's no, keep going.
Okay. But he's always been very supportive, right? And so when I went back, I jumped into acting. Orlando is where we lived. And so Orlando is more of at the time, it was more of a commercial, industrial, theme park, dinner theater type of industry for actors. And so I was doing really, really well in the theme park thing, doing stuff there. But one day, I played Storm. That was back in my thinner days. I played Storm from the X-Men.
So you can still play Storm. Sorry.
Thank you. But Captain America came up to me and he said, yeah, so, I've been here for 10 years and blah, blah, blah. It's almost like everything kind of went wonk, 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 wonk after he said 10 years, because I was like, 10 years. And so I went back home and that same day, and I'm like, babe, we got to get out of Orlando because I don't want to be here doing this for 10 years because it's so easy. Like you could literally make a living. Like I was making a living. It was fine. I wasn't short on work. I was acting, but it's like, this is not what I want to do. And so, like I said, he's always been so supportive. He's like, great, where do you want to go? We both didn't want to go to LA. We didn't want to go to New York. So we were like, let's try Atlanta. And at the time, Tyler Perry was the only one in Atlanta. But we were like, well, it's close to Florida. So if it doesn't work out, we could just drive back to Florida. It'll be fine. So that's why we ended up moving to Atlanta, because Tyler Perry was here. Little did we know, 3 years later, the industry would kick off here in Atlanta. So it was a really good move. But anyway, so I didn't have, because my background was theater, so I was doing a lot of theater and stuff like that. So I didn't have a lot of TV, film experience, but still picked up an agent really quickly that I'm with to this day. But still, I just started doing background work just so I could see how things operated on the set. So getting background, standing work, that was great. And then like little roles here and there, but they weren't really faith-based things. I have to point this out before I continue. I had grabbed a hold of a statement that still rings at the top of my head today that said, television is the major mainstream infiltration for the new satanic religion. Anton LaVey said this. He's the founder of the Church of Satan. He said, television is the major mainstream infiltration for the new satanic religion. So in my mind, I was thinking, if I just play good roles, my role is nice and polished, or, just not going against a godly character, everything will be fine. So I started taking these roles where my role was fine. But then when I sat down to watch the actual episode, some of them I couldn't even watch. I was like, oh my, it was like really demonic, super uncomfortable to watch, because you could just see the evil that was happening. And so I had to pivot, and I was like, it can't just be about the role. It's got to be about the whole thing. It's got to be about the story. Like, what are we pointing people to when we agree to jump onto these projects? So things took a shift. So I was still doing like some secular work, but still I could not break into the faith-based industry. So this is the part of the journey that gets very interesting for me anyway. So I'm like, no, God, I know you called me to this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to break into the faith-based industry. It's going to happen. It was not happening. Again, like offers on the other stuff, but not offers on the faith-based stuff. And so I just really started pushing super hard, networking events, which I still attend some, but still just trying to get my foot in the door in any way that I could. And I need to let you guys know, because you don't know my whole story. But I did become a nurse. So while we were doing all of this, everything was going well, but we kept having kids. By the time I was pregnant with my third son, I felt bad for my husband because he was holding down the fort. I was bringing in some money, but not a whole lot. And I was like, babe, I think you need help with the finances. So I went back to nursing school, became a nurse. But I knew it was only temporary. It was just to get us back on our feet or whatever. So anyway, so I'm a nurse and acting at this point in the journey here. So now I hope we're back on the same page. I hope I haven't confused anyone.
No, so, I love this. So, I didn't know that you were a nurse either. And I'm going, this is amazing.
Yeah. So one day, and this is why I say I was a nurse, because I remember sitting at my nursing cubicle and the Holy Spirit said, you have put this dream above me. So essentially what he was saying was, I put the dream above the dream giver. And man, it was so sobering, incredibly sobering. And so that started me on a journey of just learning how to rest in God. And if you would have asked me back then, what's the most important thing in your life? I would have said God, but would I have said that wasn't really true? In my brain, I thought it was, but it wasn't. Once he revealed some things about how hard I was chasing it and not chasing him. So, and this was, it wasn't even that long ago. It was 2019 that all of this happened, or it might have been the end of 2018. I don't know, but 2019, I decided to do a word for the year, and my word for the year was rest. And so what that meant was not just resting from striving to make the dream happen. That was part of it, but really, literally resting in him. And so I stopped auditioning as much. I still auditioned, but just not as much. Sometimes I would get an audition from my agent and I would do 20, 30 takes trying to make the thing perfect. And it was like, nope, you're going to get down there, you're going to do the audition, and you're going to go back upstairs, you're going to spend time with God, you're going to spend time with your family. So that looked like maybe turning in the first 1 to 3 takes. Right. So it's really just letting it go. Stop trying to attend all these networking events. I'm just not going to do that. Waking up in the morning and literally getting into my word instead of what emails do I have? What auditions do I need to get done today? That's what the world tells you, though, right? They're like, if you have a dream, you need to be eating and sleeping and doing that dream every single day in any type of way that you can. And it's like, I get it to a certain extent, but that's not. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. That's what we should be seeking.
Amen.
And so anyway, so all of that became apparent to me in that season of my life. So I want to say, and it literally got to, I didn't know that my heart would ever do this, right? But it literally got to a point where I was like, God, if you don't even want me to act anymore, I will not do it. Actually meant it.
No, I know these moments.
And it was beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's still incredible to me, like how fast it all happened. Maybe 3 months into that, the door started opening like crazy,
Wow.
like ridiculously crazy. And I'm not saying that, every time God asks you to do something and you do it, that it's just like floodgates are automatically open. That's not what I'm saying. But in my case, that's kind of what happened.
Love this journey because really what you are talking about is, I think so many of us have to realize that it is about seeking the kingdom first. And even though God gives us the desire and places it upon our heart, He still wants us to make sure that we are not chasing any other idols, and that we are only chasing Him first. And as we chase Him first is when He really gives us these people and the plan and the provision, and He walks through this process with us. But we have to be completely and utterly sold out to Him first. And
Mhm.
you know, I experienced that in my own life, and there were multiple times. I remember, in fact, when my husband and I moved to Los Angeles in 2009, actually, my entire family thought that I was insane, that I had lost my mind. And, 2008 was the downfall of so many things in this country. And it was for us too. We lost everything. We lost, economically. There was so many things that were happening to us. My husband and I went from our dream home with our children to back in a 2-bedroom apartment that was from, I don't even know what year, it was so old. But we moved to Los Angeles because I knew that the Lord was calling me there. But I remember this very moment. There was 2 times specifically that when we got there, we were there for about 3 months, and I was about ready to quit acting. There was a moment where the Lord was impressing upon my heart the women that He's called me to.
Mm.
But there was another moment, because there was a moment that I was struggling with. I was trying to be the perfectionist that I am. I was trying to perform the way that I thought man wanted me to perform. I was trying to do things the way that the world would say you would do it, get the agent the way you were supposed to do it,
Uh-huh.
networking events, all these things. And so I remember this moment though, and it was really not a great moment for myself, my husband, my family. And I remember getting in the shower and really just letting loose and crying and saying, God, I have to turn this all over to you because I don't even know how to do this anymore. I mean, I thought you called me here for this
Mm.
reason. And I thought you were giving me these things, and I thought you were going to open these doors. And I kid you not, in that moment, but it was a heart posture. It wasn't a mind posture. It was a heart posture to be reminded that I was not putting God first, and I needed to seek Him and seek what He wanted. And I said, even if it was just my obedience, Lord, for coming to California, then that's it. And I will never forget this moment, but I got
Mm.
out of the shower and I had a voicemail from Beverly Holloway, who is one of the top casting directors in the industry, and I was like, you can't even make this stuff up, right? Like, you can't even make this up.
Wow.
And she asked me to come in and audition for a movie that I ended up booking. But it's like the moment, and again, like, things don't a lot of times happen that quickly, but when we really do sell out to the Lord, that's when He's like, you are fully mine to use and so committed to me first and foremost that I can put you anywhere. I can take you anywhere in the world. I can put you in front of anybody, and you will
Yeah.
glorify my name first before your own. And it
Mm.
was like, wow,
Yeah.
Lord, that's it. It just makes me teary. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
we, and we can't get past that. And so I love that. And I think what I would say to you in your story is so encouraging, Sharonne. And, in moving into the next part of this, in our convo here is, what do you think? Because we've been talking about a lot of stuff and just stepping into this industry, but what do you think, or how would you define success?
Mm. Being obedient, which can
Yeah.
be tough when sometimes you don't know if that is God telling you to do what
Yeah.
He's telling you to do. So I do understand that. But we all, as believers anyway, we know how
Mhm.
to get on our face and pray, right?
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. So when we don't have a clear yes or no and we're stuck in the middle, for me, success looks like, even when I'm stuck in the middle, still taking it to Him and
Right.
still being open to the answer And should I move in the direction that he didn't tell me to move in, if he tells me to move the other way, I'm willing to move the other way. For me, that's success. I mean, and I've gotten, so even now, knowing all that I know, there's still difficulty, right? Every morning I have to die to myself, right? It's like a daily thing.
Every morning. Yeah.
So I have taken some steps and I'm like, ooh, God, I don't think that was you. But to not lay there in condemnation, right? But to get up and keep moving in the way that I know God wants me to move.
Yeah.
For me, like there's nothing, but and my mom used to say this when I was a kid, like nothing is more important than your peace. And for me, that's like the peace of God. Cause you know when you're like off balance, when I'm like yelling at my husband and I'm like okay, your peace is gone. Okay, I need to go and repent. So like you just know, it's like you just can't sit well. And there is nothing that is worth that peace, like no money. And don't get me wrong, I would love to consistently make the same type of money that I did while I was nursing every year. Just know, I'm going to get this much like I did when I was nursing. Like that's like, to me, I'd be like, that's great. I don't even have to have the millions, but just that consistency would be great. That's what Sharonne wants, right? But I may never get that. And that's okay, as long as I am at peace with how God is telling me to move forward. That is success for me.
I love that. I have a dear friend who is, she was on the Forge with us, Anna Redmond, who's the costume designer, and she's this brilliant woman of God. And I remember her saying to me one time, she said, Shari, she said, no matter what role you get, whether you're on the cast or on the crew, if the movie gets made and it never gets seen by anybody, it doesn't matter, because God has placed you there for a reason. And it's for us to seek out why he has placed us there in the first place. So it might not be security. It might not be fame. It might not ever be seen by anybody. But what God desires is for us to engage with his people and tell his stories and be obedient through the process. And I was like, oh, Anna, that's so good. Boy, I don't know if wow, that's like a really tough one to hear. I went, okay. But these are things that are so for us to think about success, right? To think about it, because obedience, like you said, stepping in, God doesn't promise us even the next minute of our life, right? But what he does promises is he will never leave us nor forsake us.
Yeah.
That he does say to us, everything is for good. And so how do we step in and walk in that? I have to think about that a little bit too with you being a mom. So this is another really interesting topic as we talk about.
Wait, before you switch paths, because
Okay. You're like, wait, I got to go back.
Well, no, because you just said something that just really like resonated with me, like really, like for real. Like I'm sitting on it, so I'm like, before we move, because I already know you're gonna start talking about mom, and I'm gonna be like still dealing with what you just said. Like, no, that's so good, because so we perform for an audience of one, right? And we always say that as performers, right? But in my mind, I know that, but we're also making a picture for audience members, right? We're visual medium, so that's what we're doing it, so that you can see something and hopefully we can point you toward in God's direction, right? But when you said if the movie is actually never made or it's never shown, God still placed you here for a reason. I don't know if I've thought about it that deeply, but that's incredibly true, because that just goes to show his sovereignty. Like, we don't know why he does what he does. We don't know why he allows what he allows, but he is sovereign. And do we trust that or don't we? That's just so good. That's so good, Shari.
Hey friends, if you're enjoying today's episode, we'd love your support. Hit like, subscribe, comment, and share this video, which helps us grow the channel that directly supports the women in my world and our mission to develop, educate, and launch Christian women in the entertainment and media industry. Every action you take truly makes a difference in our ministry. And now we'd like to share a brief video about the heart and mission behind the women in my world. Thank you for being a part of this incredible journey with us. Hi, I'm Shari Rigby, the founder of the Women in My World. Our goal is simple but powerful: We focus on developing, educating, and launching Christian women in entertainment and media. Our aim is to train up emerging talent, empower them to craft impactful, God-honoring content across various platforms, and contribute to positive global change through leadership roles. We invest in women by providing opportunities to learn essential skills in their desired field. Through hands-on education and on-the-job training, we build a community of like-minded women who shepherd others to grow and flourish in their careers. The Women in My World has helped support and launch women into key positions, such as producers, script supervisors, production and costume designers, directors, makeup and hair artists, and so many more. These women have gone on to expand their resumes and their relationships, which have provided opportunities to work on major network television shows and feature films. Due to the small percentage of Christian women in decision-making roles in entertainment, believers must invest in their training, mentoring, and discipleship. These women can then become a voice to change in the negative narratives influencing our culture and shed light on topics we desperately need to tackle from a biblical worldview. The Women in My World is honored to help support women and their careers in entertainment and media as they bring redemptive stories to life and uplift, encourage, and influence the world for Christ.
I love to be able just to sit on different things that happen on set too. I guess even thinking
Mm-hmm.
about that, because when she said that to me, it really hit me. But what I try to walk away with anymore is, and I'm sure you've had these moments too, is I'll get onto a set and I'll just walk on and go, I don't know what I'm doing here. And something will happen and I'll be like, I'm too old for this. I've been in the industry for too long. I just don't know, and you're just in this moment and it's this constant like, Lord, what am I doing here? And I had a project a couple years ago and I will tell you this is, and I still do it. I mean, I have to catch myself. But there was a project, when Anna had said that to me, and she's always a voice of reason for me. It hits me, but there was specifically a time when I got into a set not long ago and that happened to me. And I said, God, I don't know why I'm here. I mean, I was literally in this moment of going, and there were all these little things that were happening over and over and over. And it was just this irritation. I can't even tell you, an irritation. And I wanted to just be like, I'm done. I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I got to my last day on set. And because we're professionals, we're not walking out, we're not doing those things. Like we've said yes, we're committed, we're following through, integrity, skill, all those things matter, right? And so I remember though in that moment, Sharonne, that right as this is my last day on set, last moment on set, a young woman comes up to me. And we are in the back, there's resetting some stuff for this particular scene. And she goes, I just wanted to meet you because I wanted to talk to you about what it was like to be a mom, a single mom.
Mm.
And how can I do what I believe that God called me to do? And that's all I wanted to do was just meet and talk to you. Would you talk to me about it? And I'm like, who am I, God, to
Mm.
question why you give me? Because that's really what it is. You've given me the opportunity
Come
to be
on.
where I am today. And why would I question you and your sovereignty and your desire for me not to just make a movie, but to communicate with a young woman the ripple effect of what you're calling me to, that you've given me that voice to be able to do it. Who am I? And I kept
Mm.
thinking to myself, the irritation was the enemy because the enemy wanted me to leave,
Mm-hmm.
wanted all the things that I wouldn't get to do so that I didn't stand before that young woman. It's really made me take a different posture in what we're
Yeah.
doing. In what we're doing.
Yeah.
Why do we
Yeah.
do what we do? Could
Come
it be?
on.
Is it be for the one? Is it for the one that's right in front of us? I mean, what
Come
does
on.
God care about, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I've had moments too. And I just remember in the middle of one of the moments, a scripture came back to me, Luke 9:62. I might be paraphrasing some here, but it talks about he who puts his hand to the plow and looks
Mm,
back is not fit for service in the kingdom of God. And it's referring to in context, like following Christ, right? But for me, it was like I didn't want to do certain things on set. And it was like, you said you're following me. Don't look back at what you did in the past. Just do what I'm telling you to do right now. Because of exactly what you just said, you don't know what assignment he has for you on set. And it could be something for you. Maybe he wants to give you something while you're on set. We don't know. Our job is just to be obedient. Like, obedience is better than sacrifice.
Even in the conversation about this young woman and being a mother, I think you have 3 boys, if
Yes.
that's correct. 3 boys. We're boy moms. Talk a little bit about what it was like to be well, there's a few things in this, but talk about what it was like to raise your sons, doing what you do in the entertainment and media industry. And what are some of the things that you see today as you're also, because we're going to talk about this in a minute, creating content that you feel is so important for us to be creating for this next generation coming into watching or listening to content?
Yeah. In the beginning, because I was a new mom, so I had this young, I don't know, innocent, go get it mindset that I remember actually going to theater auditions with my oldest son. He's now 17. Like, I would have a friend come with me and she would watch him in his little seat and all that stuff while I would go and audition and all that stuff. And I thought that was just great. But then it was like mommy guilt started to kick in, and it was like, you should probably just be at home. You shouldn't be dragging him out in the streets doing what you're doing. But I didn't have peace with that. So it was like, okay, well, let's just keep going on this journey and do what we can. But my husband has always been so supportive, just an incredible backbone. In the state that I was in back then, if he had told me, no, you need to stop and be home more, I probably would have done it because I was already struggling. But because he's always been like, go, this is your gifting, go. I was able to push past that. So by the time we got to my third baby, my third one now is 13. So I have 17-year-old, 14-year-old. He's about to be 15, and then 13-year-old. It was still just good, just go. But like I said before, I did get to that phase where the dream became bigger than the dream giver. And I think family was kind of mixed in that too, because there was a lot of stuff I was like, I could have been home with the family, but I'm out, trying to get this dream accomplished. So that was a struggle. Actually, if I can be honest, even now I kind of struggle with it. It's not a struggle like it was back then, just because I'm more aware and I'm more wise now. But it's certainly, let's just say it's a good faith-based opportunity that I'm like, oh yes, this is great. I weigh the costs. Like, am I really called to this project? Me? Am I called to the project? Because it's good doesn't mean I am. Or, should I be at home with the family? And so that's kind of what it looks like, as far as the boys are concerned. Everybody's been super supportive. I think my boys, once I went into nursing and came back out of nursing, they understood that, wow, mommy is actually home a lot more than when she was nursing, because we had 12-hour shifts too. So when I did the 12-hour shift, I have to come home and sleep just so I could go back and do it again. So that was really like, yeah, she's really not home much now. But here it's just waves, go out of town, do this, come back home, do that. You know what I mean?
It's hard. And then you go, could you just come back for a day or two or maybe a year? I don't know. I mean, I ask mine all the time, like, what do you think? Because you talked about, you mentioned the gentleman who's, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name, but that started the church.
Yes, Anton,
yes. And I've talked about him before too. And man, I mean, what we see today on television and movie theaters, what we see streaming online, whether it's on our cell phones or on, some of the different platforms that are out there, it is really demonic stuff. I mean, we've seen it, and we've become a culture that is just really, we've been, kind of softened to things that even 5-10 years ago would have been an absolute no. It would have been, pornographic, literally, or, we have a culture also where we've got, over sexualization of youngers. We've got a lot of shows on right now that are on that sexualize teenage kids in high school that are showing different things, whether it's drugs, alcohol. And so here we are, and we're talking about being called as creatives, and we're also talking about we're mothers and the content that we're creating. And we're talking about there is a real enemy. Not only do we know it spiritually, but we literally have a real enemy that has said, I'm going after the airwaves and I'm going to get them. And now we're seeing it today. How do we, as believers, as creators, as mothers, step into this gap and say, we're not doing this anymore? Or how do we start creating content or doing things that combat what is happening today? And how do we do that with the stories that we're telling? And how do we make a difference with it?
Mm-hmm. It has been difficult for me as a mom because I feel like my kids are so desensitized, and so I'm constantly,
Yep.
trying to impart wisdom. Not all the time, but sometimes I get pushback because they're like, "Ma, you're just over spiritualizing things," and I'm like, "No, it's like." No, like this is serious. But I try not to make it a big fuss because I do want them to keep the lines of communication open. So like when Isaiah, that's my oldest one, when he goes to see a movie with friends, he'll literally tell me what he's going to see, right? At least those lines are open so I can still have but I don't want to like be so like raw that he doesn't even tell me what he's going to see. That's a whole nother thing in itself because now I don't know what he's watching. So that has been a little tricky, but as a parent, we can continue to speak and impart wisdom and not be quiet about it, even when they push back, but still not be like overbearing to the point where they don't want to talk with us. But it's something I'm constantly taking to God in prayer. Really, it is God's job to do the work. Like we do the seeding, or planting the seed, but God has, just come on and do your thing, So just learning how to let go as far as the kids are concerned. So still being, on watch as a prayer warrior and on guard and still talking, but learning how to let go. So that's one advice I would give to parents. But if you have some more advice, you can let me know. But now moving over to the creative side, yes, as content makers, we were given these gifts for a reason. So let's give them something else to watch. So I have a production company called Caruso Productions that I founded with Venus Monique and Stephanie Half. And the three of us, we were going through auditions. Our main lead character was a young girl, like anywhere between like age 18 to 21 is what we envisioned, right? So when we went on the casting call, Shari, I want to say maybe 90% of the reels that we got back from these young girls involved vulgar language, sexual content, and because it was just the things that they were being offered to do. And so they took it because they're like, oh, we want to be actors. And so this is what and it's like, man, like we can create so much more. So yes, we're not here to just accept what's going on. We are here to create for God's glory. And it's part of the reason why I became a producer. It would be so much easier if I could just stay an actress. Actually, I would kind of prefer it work-wise.
Right. I know. Yes. I get it.
But who's going to stand up and say and produce and tell the stories if we don't do it? Because you can only do so much as actors or any other position where you're not in charge of decisions. You can only do so much. So once you get into that position where you can make decisions, you can really flow and run with it. So that's why it's important. So they have other things to watch.
Well, I think you're saying so much here. There is a lacking thereof. We have a severe problem in our culture today. And we have, as believers or people of faith, we have the ability to step in and tell God honoring stories. And really, it's about redemption and restoration. There are so many great stories that have been told that is the key elements. Redemption, seeing a character go one way to the other, like those are great levels of storytelling. But I think that there's something in our culture today that I don't know what, I mean, I know it's the enemy in so many ways, but it's like, just the darkness, the foul language, the sexual exploitation of men and women, and these stories that just get, they get darker and deeper all the time. I really have to take a step back and go, okay, wait a minute. We have an opportunity to be the greatest storytellers, literally, that there is. And we have the ability through the resources and through the Lord to step into a place to tell great stories, to lead people to Christ, to lead people to truth, to tell them stories, to show redemptive stories, right? And so it's such a big deal for all of us. And I will say to you, and where I'm going with this is one of the things that I think about even over and over again is when you did the movie The Forge, and we got to both be a part of this. I was on the crew side of it while you were on the cast side of it. And this movie, The Forge, was so specific because it was about discipleship. And I think that in today's culture, why are we not tackling more topics like that in discipleship? When we're talking about discipleship, we're talking about people who are needing to be discipled, to be shared a message of hope, and how they're walking in their faith. How are they doing life? All of these things. And so, I think about that movie. I think about some of the other movies that you and I have been able to be a part of. Talk a little bit about making that particular project and what it meant to you to be on that set and then to be part of a project that really did have a far reach to talk about discipleship and doing things differently.
Again, so many things just ran through my head. I'll just go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
So when I talked earlier about Luke 9:62, this is actually the project that this verse the Holy Spirit brought to my remembrance, because I remember when the breakdowns came for the Forge, there were only a couple of roles that fit my specs. It was like the hairdresser, but it was like two hairdressers and the receptionist, right? But I could tell by the way it was like broken down. I was like, the receptionist, it's just going to be a few lines. This is probably going to be boring. I've done that, whatever. Let's go to this. Let's try to do something else, right? So hairdresser had like more fun lines, in my opinion, right? So I'm like, I'm submitting for the hairdresser. So I submitted for that. But then my agent must have submitted me for the receptionist, because when the auditions came around, I had auditions for both characters. And I'm like, I don't want to audition for the receptionist, right? Which, by the way, spoiler alert, I played the receptionist in the movie.
I know.
But I remember praying and saying, God, if you want me to be a part of this project, I will do it in any way that you want me to do it. Very sincere when I said that. I meant it. And so then when I got the offer to be a receptionist, I was like, and it was actually a Zoom call when the offer came. Sherry, you were on the Zoom call, and the Kendrick brothers were on the Zoom call too. And they were like, the receptionist. And I was like, yay, right? But if only I knew what was going on in my brain. I was like, So immediately when we got off the Zoom call, I sat there and I complained and like fussed in my mind. And that's when the Holy Spirit brought back that verse, Luke 9:62, and reminded me that I had literally prayed and said that if you want me to, however you want to use me, use me. So it's like, what are you doing, Sharonne? But then I literally received peace over the whole thing and literally became excited, like all within, it might have been 10 minutes. So it didn't take long. And I was like, yes, like, let's do this. We're on a mission. And it was such a beautiful thing. So, and I'm just going to share this little part of the testimony. So what happened was the days that I was supposed to be on set, I don't even know if it was a full week before, but one of my closest cousins who was my age passed away. We filmed in Albany. And so I was like, wow, I'm going to be in Albany. His parents still live in Albany. And I was like, wow, this is crazy that I'm going to be with, family right in this critical time of our lives. It was devastating because we never saw it coming. It wasn't like he was sick. Not that we knew of. We didn't know he was sick. It just happened all of a sudden. And so I in between me finding this out and me going to Albany, one of the team members emailed and was like, do you still just need the accommodations for one? So if you haven't worked with the Kendrick brothers before, they are so unique. Like if you're cast, they offer for you to bring your family along with you and they will put your family up. And so I let them know, actually, I don't need accommodations for one. I would like to have extra accommodations because my mom and sister, they were actually in Atlanta with me at the time. They wanted to go down with me to Albany. And I was like, can we make room for them? And they were like, absolutely. And so when I got to set, I didn't know a lot of the people, but people were coming up to me saying, hey, we heard about the death in your family. Can we just stop and pray with you? Like pulling me to the side. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So that speaks to the Kendrick brothers' heart, like just how sincere they are about the people that they're shepherding and leading. So that was super powerful because I needed that in that moment. And it hit me too, that if I would have gotten the role that I wanted, the hairdresser, like that shot at a whole different time than the role that I shot. And it's like, wow, I wouldn't have been here at this exact moment in time so that we could all come together in this crazy time and support each other and lift each other up. my days were like spread out between doing the receptionist. And so like during those days off, I literally went with my aunt and uncle. We got to hang out together, go shopping to make some of the funeral arrangements together. I just thought it was like really sweet to be able to be a part of that. And so to me, God was like, listen, I knew what you were going to need at this point in time. And so it's all working together for your good. And it's like, man, so what if I just would have been like so selfish and been like, no, I'm not doing the project, right? Like but then on the actual movie, the actual film itself, my goodness, Shari, when I sat at the premiere and watched that movie for the first time, man, I was so humbled. I knew the story. I read the script. But it still like brought tears to my eyes. And I'm like, yes, Sharonne, what are you doing to disciple? It was a call to action. And it's like, this is why we need films like that. Like, come on, like, wake up. Let's get going. Like, let's join hands and do what we're supposed to be doing. You know, the way that God calls us to do what we're supposed to be doing. Like, let's just do this. Let's encourage each other. And so I am so blessed and honored that I was a part of helping to tell that story, in addition to how it blessed my life.
I love it. It helped you to forge through. I will tell you, I think that's the coolest thing about being on the projects with the Kendricks. And when there's this moment, it's like, not only does it touch your life in some way, shape, or form, but also you're going to touch somebody else's life. And then when you're done with the project, you're going to see this ripple effect, And I love that you said a call to action. It really is. I feel like every single one of their movies leaves you on the edge of your seat to go, what am I doing? How am I tackling discipleship? How am I tackling my own life? And there's so many things. And I think about that. Like, that's what makes me love movies, that I can look at something and find that call to action and how I can do or be something, be better at tackling something maybe that I should or shouldn't be doing. And it's like, wow, this is it. It's just always good. I mean, it's always good with them. And I love how they do that. I've had so much joy working with them. And tell me a little bit, as we're coming to an end, talk a little bit about, you have stepped in with your production company. You told a redemption story. It's called Daisy. And Daisy is done very well. And talk a little bit about that particular story and why you believe those are the kind of stories that your company is tackling. And then tell us what's next for you. And not only as an actress, I know you're directing as well and you're producing, but also as a company that you're getting ready to tell some fantastic stories.
Shari, I laugh because I feel like all your questions are so loaded. Like maybe
they're all loaded.
Like one question, but you have like
no,
three questions, and I'm like, wait.
We're wrapping it. We're like, what are you doing today? Why did you do this? And what are you getting ready to do?
Right.
I
love it. Well, so kerusso, that is a Greek word which means to proclaim. And we stand on Ephesians 6:19, which says, pray for me that God would give me words that I would fearlessly make known the mysteries of the gospel. And so with Daisy, that is a story. It actually happened to Stephanie's nephew. So it's a true story. We don't know like the specifics, so we filled in the gaps with specifics. But basically, it's about this young lady who wants to commit suicide, and she hears a voice that says, this is the way out. And it looks really good. But then she hears another voice that says, don't listen to that voice. So then the young lady is stuck with what is truth. And so that's what we tackle in this film. Yeah, so that's a quick synopsis of it. I don't want to give away the whole story. But yes, God does prevail. He did in the story. God actually came through. And so we don't know how the young lady's life, went after that moment, but we do know that she was receptive to Jesus. And so our next story, we know what story we want to tell, which is, it's actually another true story, but it really deals with God's, I don't know how much I should say.
I know. I'm like,
but let's just say it's another project. I've never heard a story like this in my entire life. Never. I've never heard it. We've heard stories similar to it, and all of us have heard stories similar to it, but I haven't heard of the depths that somebody has gone through and God literally redeeming the whole situation. And so that's the next story that we want to tell, but we're in the middle of trying to secure life rights to tell the story. So we shall see if you guys can be in prayer for that. So if you feel led, please. Actually, even if you don't feel led, just go ahead because that's biblical to pray, right? So just go ahead and pray.
Right.
You don't have to feel led. Go ahead and pray for us. But I've been really wanting to tell I mentioned her earlier in the conversation, Chocolate, the lady that I met while I was in college. It would take place around her life. Because after she became a Christian and she left like everything behind, lost money, all of that stuff, she ended up entangled in sin. And so she wrote a book about it. And she came out of sin. And so she tells all about the spiritual seduction and how she came out of it. And I'm like, man, so many people would benefit from hearing her testimony. And so it's been really burning in me to tell the story. So I think this is an act of obedience because I'm like, I think it's going to be a whole lot of work, but it's like, no, just do it because it won't be quiet. We're pretty much there. It's just a matter of signing the agreement at this point, but we're on the same page, the writer and I, and Shanita is who the story would be about. So I'm excited, especially today, because you hear a lot of, well, that's my truth. I get that, but what is the truth? And I have to ask myself that too, because I feel a certain way about certain things too, but it's like, well, God, what did you say? Do I trust you or do I not? I have to stand on your word, and I am committed to doing that. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Because listen, girl, if I went with my truth a lot of the times, whoa is me. It would be a very, very terrible situation. I would not be sitting here with you today. No, and I love, you shared a little bit of that story with me when we saw each other at NRB. And I think that this particular story is for such a time as this. I think our culture is dying literally to hear stories like this so that they have to grapple with what is truth and what am I living with right now? Are my eyes being covered by what culture in the world is telling me, or am I really seeking truth from the Creator God? And that's something I think is so needed today in our culture and our space. And I thank you for tackling this kind of story. So I will join you in praying, and I will ask everybody else to do the same thing. Tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can stay on the journey with you, and how they can support the efforts with the production company and then you personally with what you're doing.
Yes. So for me, I have one social media platform, and that is Facebook, Sharonne Lanier. For K-Russo Productions, if you go to K-Russo, which is spelled K-E-R-U-S-S-O, K-Russo, KRussoProductions.com, you'll be able to find us there as well. But we also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page as well. And we're on YouTube as well, but we're still building the platform. Not very much there, but yeah, that's where we're at.
Love it. Love it. Hey, every step is towards another step that God has called you to, and that is big. So that's good stuff. Well, my friend, I just want to thank you for coming on today, sharing your heart, sharing your journey, your gifts, your stories, everything that you shared today, and really just such wisdom and inspiration with everybody who's listening. And I'm just excited to see what you continue to do and the impact that you have as a creative, how you've been called, and how you're going to continue to impact the culture through the stories that you're telling. So I thank you so much for being a part of the Women in My World, my life, you make my world better. And so thank you so much for it. And I can't wait to see what God's going to do with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shari, for what you do. Seriously.
Thank you.
Just your heart. It's just such a beautiful heart in the way that you serve. It's beautiful. So keep marching. What you're doing is making a true impact. So don't stop. Don't stop. Well, unless God tells you to. But until then.
Until then. And then when he says it, I will be like, okay, where are we going next? I'm ready. So thank you, my friend. I am so excited to see what's next. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Love you.
Okay. Love you too. Take care.
We hope today's episode inspired you. If it did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with somebody in your world so we can reach more and more amazing women in entertainment and media. We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a comment below. Your support truly means the world to us, and it helps us keep doing this important work. Also, don't miss out on signing up for our newsletter, and you get our acting prep guide for free. It's packed with tips to help you step into your purpose. If you feel led, also please consider donating to support our ministry. All the links are in the show notes below. We can't wait to hear from you to join us next time.